I'd like to call this study session of North Augusta City Council to order tonight, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Clifford, our city administrator.
Thank you, Councilman. For tonight, we have three items: the City Council meeting agenda. The second will be department details by our department heads. Lastly, under Mayor's Matters, I'll give a brief update on our ARPA funding status. So with that, I'll go to item one, which is for our City Council meeting for next week. And as a reminder for the citizens at home, that's also a power hour week. So there's a 5 o'clock public power hour here in the council chambers on December 6th, followed by the City Council meeting at 6 o'clock. So you'll scroll down to item number 5 under unfinished business for annexation. Ordinance number 2021-21 to change the corporate limits of the city of North Augusta by accepting the petition requesting annexation by the landowner and annexing plus or minus 0.98 acres of land located at 1446 Hammond Pond Road and owned by Hank DeGraff. This is a second reading of this ordinance. Again, this is a routine annexation. We had a citizen who was getting city services, and as part of that agreement, annexation was the requirement there at some point in time, and the citizen has come forward and signed all the requisite documents, and now it's really up to the city to go ahead and approve that annexation. So that's the item that'll be before you for that, but again, that's the second reading of a annexation.
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
How many, let me back up, does this complete the donut holes on Hammond Pond Road?
I'll defer to Tommy, but I think we still have some others out there. The answer is no, it does not complete the donut hole, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any questions from council members on that item? If not, I'll move to new business, starting at item number 6, Engineering and Public Works, which is ordinance number 2021-22, amending Chapter 14, Article 5, Division 3 of the City Code of the City of North Augusta, South Carolina, ordinance first reading. And again, that allows us to clean up some language that has to do with stormwater and with developments here in the city. And this came at the recommendation of Tom Zeser as the Department of Public Works and seen by our city attorney, Kelly Zier. Tom, is there anything you want me to add to that? Okay. Are there any questions or discussion on that item? Okay. We'll move forward then to item number 7, which is annexation. This is ordinance number 2021-23 to change the corporate limits of the city of North Augusta by accepting the petition requesting annexation by the landowners and annexing plus or minus 43.9 acres of land located on West Martintown Road and owned by Adams Brothers Properties, LLC, ordinance first reading. And so to orient you to the location, if you are on Martintown Road heading north to I-20, you cross over I-20 and then past Gregory Lakes Road on the right-hand side is the property that we're talking about. And so this is a developer who's asking to annex that for potential development, and it looks like residential is the way that which that developer wants to go, with R10 and I believe R7 as the zoning for that particular plot of land. And that would be at the upper reaches, of expanding the North Augusta terrain into Edgefield County.
There's an active stream through there. Are there any plans to utilize that stream into a park area, or do you know?
I'm not aware of that, Councilman. The developers have not moved forward on a comprehensive plan, if you will, for that property, just that they wanted to annex into the city of North Augusta.
Thank you.
Jim, since this is coming in from Edgefield County, I notice on the, it says existing site conditions, it says neighborhood commercial is what I guess it's zoned as. So when they annex in from, being part of Edgefield County, do we have to give them a designation, or is there a comprehensive or, similar.
Tommy's going to bail me out in case I get in trouble, but I believe, as they get annexed into the city, they get the zoning that they've requested, which is R10 and R7. Is that?
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So the short answer to your question, Councilman, is when they get annexed into the city, they will be zoned as R10 and R7.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it appears like there's like a triangle, if you will, of still county properties. I wouldn't say that's a push to annex, Councilman. They have not requested to be annexed at this point in time, and so we have not looked at that as a requirement for forced annexation or for eminent domain in those kinds of ways.
Say force them into annexing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. I meant this would then allow them to have the opportunity if they choose, because now they're surrounded, they could be annexed.
Councilman, based on the geography there and the annexation, if approved by the city council, yes, that would certainly afford them the opportunity to be annexed into the city if that was their choice.
Jim, is this property adjacent, would be adjacent to veterinarian services?
Is that further up the street?
No? Okay. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Are there any additional questions about this particular annexation? Councilman McGee, I apologize for misunderstanding your question.
I said that word, so that's not what I meant. I meant to see it then provides them to be in the parameters to do it.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
That's all.
All right, we'll move to item number 8. So items number 8 and 9 are linked. And so item 8 is a resolution from the City Council, resolution number 2021-46, a resolution to approve an intergovernmental agreement between the City of North Augusta and Aiken County related to the purchase and funding of radios for the Department of Public Safety for the City of North Augusta. And then I'll also add item number 9 under Public Safety, ordinance number 2021-24, an ordinance to authorize the purchase contract with Motorola and approve a lease purchase financing arrangement for radios for the Department of Public Safety. And that would also be an ordinance which would be a first reading. So to give you some background on these two items, the county has a 911 landline fund. So every house phone, not a cell phone, but every hard landline in a residence, as part of them having that phone, pays a small fee for 911 service. And so that money goes into a county fund, and that county fund is specifically for the use of procuring 911 radios. And so the arrangement would be that the county would pay for 75% of the cost of the radios, and the city would be encumbered with 25% of the cost. So that 75% from the county comes out of that specific fund that would pay that. And the city of Aiken has already taken advantage of that program, and they have outfitted their public safety department with radios and updated radios based on that funding source. And so what we're asking as the city is to move forward with a purchase plan for these new Motorola radios. The old radios that our current public safety officers have are outdated. They don't make those kinds of radios anymore, and it is getting increasingly difficult to attain replacement parts for those radios, as well as there's some connectivity issues to some neighboring jurisdictions with the older style radios. So ultimately, we want to get into the newest radios that we can get our hands on and be compliant with the 900 megahertz system, to be part of the Palmetto system and also to be able to have good communications with Richmond County, Aiken County, City of Aiken, neighboring jurisdictions. And so what we'd ask to do then is have council action here over the next series of meetings to allow us to move forward on it. The cost of the radios, what you'll see in your packet, is not to exceed $1 million. That's to pure fleet and update every single radio for all of our public safety officers. And by doing this year and in this month, that forestalls a cost increase of about 10% come January from the Motorola Corporation. So time is a factor as far as attaining the best price. Cami Hayes has put out a request for proposals now for financing. There's the ability to finance through the Motorola Corporation, but our suspicion is we'll find better rates through banking, local banking institution. So Cami's already got that request for proposals on the street, and we'll receive that quote back here, I believe, by the 8th of December. So ultimately, what we'll need to have from the council is approval to move forward, number one, with the intergovernmental agreement, which allows us to do this purchase in conjunction with Aiken County, and then also from an ordinance perspective for us to enter into a contract separate and apart from the budget for these radios. So it's a lot of information, but that's the big picture we're trying to accomplish with these two specific items, on the agenda. So I'll pause for any questions from council members.
Well, I'm excited about this, but is this a new program where the county puts in 75%? And I don't ever remember that happening. Has it happened?
I suspect that I'm sorry, go ahead, Councilman.
It's not a new program. That fee has been in place for many years. I don't know if you heard Mr. Clifford say that it comes from
The landline.
your landline.
Right.
Not from cell phones, but from the landline.
Right. Of course, I bet there's not many landlines anymore, is there?
Well, Councilman, that's an excellent point, because I think we'll be able to go forward with this funding on
Right
this,
now.
but what you're going to see is that county fund is going to get depleted over time as less and less homeowners have landlines. So it's not tied to a cell phone connection, and there's a number of households that are going to straight
Right.
cellular service as opposed to landline service. So as we look in the long term, 7 to 8 year time frame where we may have to life cycle these radios, this may or may not be a valid funding strategy for us going forward. But it's a good opportunity for us to take advantage now, and our recommendation is to partner with the county on this.
And how old, Chief Thomas, are the radios now? 10 years,
They're currently 11 years old.
11 years old? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
This is for like all the vehicle radios and personal radios and all
It's
that?
complete mobile as well as walkie-talkies. Yes, sir.
The ones they wear on their shoulders.
That's correct.
So, quick question, Chief. Obviously, y'all have those radios. Is it similar to a cell phone? After 2 years, it's considered obsolete, and then you got to, or do they have a good 10-year lifespan, or is it hard to tell?
Hard to tell, with technology making so much strides, especially in that field. But typically, they're good for 10, 12 years. So we should be okay.
Okay, thank you.
Chief, is there a pager system you're now using? Will this replace your pager system?
Now, this is totally, for the police side of it. We do have fire pagers,
Okay.
Mr. Brooks, and we'll continue to use those because we have to have them for not only paid but volunteers as well.
Okay, thank you.
And I'd like to thank our city attorney, Kelly Zier, also for the hard work he's done. So Cammy's done great work on the finance side. Chief has certainly got this requirement in front of us. But Kelly's been doing a yeoman's work behind the scenes with the county and the county attorney to make sure that the intergovernmental agreement is solid and can be adhered to by both parties in a meaningful kind of way. So appreciate everything Kelly's been doing behind the scenes to be able to get us to this point where we can have this in front of the council today. Are there any other questions about items 8 and 9, which have to do with the public safety radio systems? Last on the agenda for city council meeting for next week is under zoning, item number 10, ordinance number 2021-25 to amend the zoning map of the city of North Augusta, South Carolina by rezoning plus or minus 1.63 acres of land owned by Second Providence Baptist Church, Aiken County Tax Parcel number 006-20-06-003, 004, 005, and 006 from R10 medium lot, single-family residential to GC general commercial ordinance first reading. And I'm going to just kick this over to Tommy on this particular one because I missed this one from the Planning Commission.
Now, these are all the little houses, or the houses that are across the street. All right, so, but it's not the ones on Radiance, corner of Radiance.
No, ma'am.
So where's the church up here? So how far down is that, though, huh? Is it near the housing? Okay. Oh, Lord, I just don't remember. That's terrible. I don't remember seeing that. Huh? But not near Aiken Drive in that area, because Aiken Drive's immediately behind it, Zaxby's. I'll ride over there tomorrow. Okay. I mean, it's fine with me, but I love Second Providence.
And Tommy, just from my knowledge, more than anything else, and I support this, I don't have a problem at all with it and think it's a good use of the property, but why general commercial? Because couldn't residential allow for a religious organization to be, I mean, wouldn't that allow for that same thing? Okay. Sure. Well, I said, I think it's a great idea. Just wanted to satisfy my curiosity on that more than anything else. Thank you.
Any other questions on that annexation? If there are none, that concludes our item number 1 for City Council meeting agenda. And we'll now move into department details, and we'll start off with Cammie Hayes in Finance.
The finance updates this evening are all related to utilities. We have a Cycle 2 disconnect coming up on December 1st and 2nd. We also have a due date for Cycle 1 next Monday, December 6th. Just a reminder for all of our citizens that winter-based sewer rates are now in effect. If they have any questions about what winter base is and how that impacts their bill, they can contact our customer service department. Also, our online payments will be coming offline towards the end of this month on December 29th. This is for our year-end closing procedures. We're having to do this every year right now with our current software. The online payment system doesn't allow you to pay bills when the year closes and the next one opens. And so that'll be down from December 29th until about mid-January. The 15th is usually our latest date that we'll keep those down. And that's all I have unless you have any questions.
Thanks, Cammie. We'll be followed by Public Services of James Hutton.
Good evening. This is first on the agenda is a follow-up from the recent inspections conducted on River Oaks on the wastewater interceptor line. Just to give you a little background history on it, the line was installed in the early 1950s. The tag name was Southwest Interceptor. It's made of 18-inch vitrified clay tile pipe, which is very fragile. The crews went in and conducted an inspection of 2,700 feet of the pipe system. During their inspection process, they evaluated the interior condition of the pipe and identified several fractures and shattered pipe sections. Of the 2,700 feet, we're going to need to replace around a little over 511 feet of the pipe. Right now, we're obtaining estimates for the line's replacement and upgrade, and then we're going to request funding to have those two sections of pipe replaced. Moving forward, update on the George Avenue Public Safety Building site. Property maintenance in conjunction with utilities is still in the process of removing some of the wooded debris from the property. Right now, we had a little delay because of the holiday last week. We hope to pick up production as this week moves forward. We are going to move all of the ground debris that's piled up, if you've noticed, on the site. And we've tagged about 7 trees, poplar and sweet gums, that are disease defective. So that once we remove the ground debris, we'll have more room to work with the trees one at a time, so that'll speed up the production as well.
I was going to ask you, the sewer section of the utilities that you're looking at now, is that a result of also doing the smoke testing and detecting? Part of that, they showed that to you, or no?
No, sir. Actually, we had a wastewater main backup in that line there. In a standard procedure, we always clean and inspect the line. So while we were doing so, with some of the defects we had located in the pipe segment that was clogged, we continued on downstream and inspected it until we had some good pipe in the system. So that's how that come about.
James, do you think you'll be able to slip line?
That particular pipe, because of the condition of it, it wouldn't be a candidate for that, Mr. Brooks. We
Okay.
need to excavate that.
It's not aerial, is it?
No, sir, it's not.
Okay. Thank you.
As y'all may have heard on the news, this past Thursday, we had a fire on the 24th at a material recovery facility. Public safety, dispatch, and officers and firemen and other agencies responded to the fire at the material recovery facility around 5:00 p.m. On Thanksgiving Day. They worked the fire for several hours. Chief, I was out there during the process of the fire, watched your staff, and I've never, you guys really did an excellent job containing the fire and extinguishing it. And other agencies that were involved, and we really appreciate it very much. So they did a great job. I'm sure that public safety, I don't know exactly how the fire started right now. I don't know that they've concluded their investigation or not. We don't have any details related to how the fire ignited at the site. As things stand right now, there's no interruption of any type of service. Sanitation collection service is moving forward as normal. We had an electrical company come out today to conduct an evaluation of an electrical system. We also are going to have a mechanical engineer come out and look at the steel in the area where the heat was most prominent, in the area of where the fire was at. And we don't really have a whole lot of details right now on what's what and what's damaged. The building structure is still intact. We didn't lose the building itself. I know that some of the equipment received some damage and some didn't. So as soon as we get the evaluation done, we'll have more information for y'all at a later date, hopefully sooner than later. And hopefully things will go well so we can get operations back to full operations and normal at the location. Any questions?
We did have insurance, didn't
Yes, sir. Yeah, most definitely.
we? Thank you. The mayor asked me to ask that question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Any other questions? Thank you.
I would like to echo James's comments for our kind of city staff that we're working on Thanksgiving Day. So you've got, chiefs, public safety officers, along with mutual aid agreements that we had that came onto the site. And James and his senior staff ended up coming in, and then Rachel Moody, as I was out of town, was quarterbacking this whole thing and keeping the communication line open with the city council. So a great teamwork by the city staff, and I appreciate all the work that was done on behalf of that, because most of us were sitting eating turkey and having a good Thanksgiving, but we had some public servants that were rolling up their sleeves and doing hard, gritty work on Thanksgiving Day, and I'm Grateful for their service. With that, I'll go ahead and move over to planning and development with Tommy Paradise.
Yes, because we didn't have any applications for variances or appeals this month, the Board of Zoning Appeals won't be meeting. So that's just one thing off the agenda.
Thanks. Next, we'll go over to public safety with Chief Thomas.
Just a couple of updates for public safety. You've heard me talk about the Courtview J-Works, so we sent a letter to those folks canceling our service with that. That's the obviously the software that we currently use. We've talked to the state, and we'll be going to their software, which is a statewide system, on the 24th of January, so that will bring us more features. We're looking forward to that. Quickly, a Fire One Station update. Construction is continuing. You'll see some progress there. Obviously, the contractors are waiting on materials. Insulation's a big thing. If we can get that insulation, then we can put that roof on. So that's what we're waiting on. Thank you.
Next, we'll have Parks Recreation Term with Rick Meyer.
You can check the flyer that you have behind the updates. We have the annual Christmas tree lighting ceremony tomorrow at Calhoun Park, 5 p.m. to 6:30. Would love to see you there. Should be lots of fun. The weather looks good. And also Sunday, this Sunday is the North Augusta Lions Club Christmas Parade at 3 o'clock. I think some of you will be on a PRT golf cart in the parade. And then also my last part is our youth basketball program season tips off on Monday, December 13th, and we currently have 68 teams and about 595 participants registered.
And is
Yes.
Pat coaching about 15 of them?
Yes, at least two of them, yes.
Yeah, but listen, I've dropped down to first and second. My competitiveness is going to rest this year.
Oh, there you go. Reminder that
Yeah,
we're
that's
also
right.
dragging Pat Carpenter to
That's right,
Greenville
that's
next
right.
week, for her award.
Now, Rick, do you know anything? I know the mayor being absent tonight, or Bob might have, about the Christmas parade, what we wearing, what time, where we're meeting, that kind of stuff?
You know, it starts from North Augusta Plaza is where
Right.
they always gather, but that's all I know.
No, I
Because the
thought he's-
mayor said he was going to discuss that tonight.
Miss Lamar will be contacting
Oh, Miss
us
Lamar.
by
okay.
email.
Yeah, because I want to be all ready now.
Thanks, Rick. Next, we'll go to Tom Zeser for Engineering and Public Works.
Don't really have any construction in progress to give any notice to at this time, but I did want to, at least, I haven't talked about it in several weeks, the downtown Greenway, downtown, called the Bluff Avenue Streetscape now. Just to let you know, we did meet several weeks ago with representatives from Dominion Energy, as well as our engineering consultant, and to review the electric undergrounding portion of the project. And we went house by house and really did a detailed field visit out there, and enabled Dominion to fine-tune their undergrounding plans and reduce some of the work that is needed under that effort. And so with that information, our consultant should be able to wrap up the final design drawings and have that prepared to bid just as soon as, and we will be able to execute the Dominion agreement to do the undergrounding work very soon.
Real quick, Tom, I don't know if anybody that lives on Bluff Avenue is watching, but homeowners won't be responsible for any part of the undergrounding coming to their house, correct? Dominion will handle that in their bid, because, I mean, all of that's currently overhead, and, you know, if the utilities are underground.
That's right. There will certainly be some intermittent power outages for individual residents as that work proceeds. But at this time, we're not anticipating requiring the homeowners to undertake any work on their own.
Thank you.
And then and I also haven't mentioned the downtown, or the Greenway at Cypress Drive several months ago, I reported that we had identified a pipe failure under the Greenway. And so we've been working through with our engineering consultant solutions to that problem. They were able to, we had to have some geotechnical exploration done in order for the consultant to finalize his plans for that work, but that work was done. Geotechnical was done the week before last, and so with that information, again, hopefully they should be able to wrap up their bid documents by the end of this year, or if not, the very first of next year, we should have that project out for bid. Fortunately, everything's been stable. We've seen no further evidence of imminent failure of the Greenway at that location, so hopefully weather will continue to cooperate and we'll be able to get that project out for bid in the near future.
Thanks, Tom. Next over to JD for HR.
Good evening. Just have my normal announcement that we have our jobs posted at northaugusta.net/jobs. So anyone out there watching or listening, we update those every Friday. I just want to let everyone know recruitment is going well. We talked about the hiring managers last time we met, but I also wanted to thank you guys for approving the 4% COLA because that also helps our entry rates for our jobs, so that helps with recruitment as well. So I really appreciate you guys approving that. That helps us very much. I also want to give a shout out to all the staff that are currently working short staff because they're the ones that are out there working to pick up the slack while we're down some staff members. And then in line with how great it is to work here, we're doing a years of service employee recognition ceremony, which we started last year to do virtually due to COVID, and we're still going to do that same format this year. And that's going to be December 16th from 2 to 3 in these chambers. And we invite the public to tune in then to see all of our wonderful employees celebrate their years of service. And we have everything from 5 years all the way up to 50 years, everything in between. So thank you. If there's any questions. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I presume then that means no employee Christmas party this year. That is a big thing to me and our employees. I think, now I don't know how the employees feel, but
I think we're still trying to minimize some of the large gatherings we have for our folks. So
let's go for it.
At this point in time, I don't have a plan for it, but we can certainly look at it. All right, JD. Well, that finalizes our department details, and then I'll move into item number 3 for Mayor's Matters. Obviously, Mayor Williams is not here this evening. I didn't know if our Mayor Pro Tem had any comments that he wanted to make. Councilman Brooks?
I too would like to congratulate Miss Pat Carpenter for being selected the Volunteer of the Year from the South Carolina Recreation and Park Association, it was Society, now it's Association. And she will be recognized in Greenville on December the 9th. Congratulations to you. Don't forget Arbor Day, which is coming up the 3rd of December. Arbor Day at RVP, Riverview Park at 1 o'clock. And I believe it's on the Fairfield entrance to Riverview Park. Anything else from council members? Tree lighting is tomorrow. Rick mentioned that. Anything else? Mr. Clifford, anything?
Sir, I'll just cover one item under focus items, which is the council update and discussion on American Rescue Plan Act. Just for clarification for our citizens at home, well, we're not presenting tonight a holistic plan for how we're going to spend this money. This is strictly an in-stride update for the council and for our citizenry. So I'll go ahead and read this verbatim. So I have a brief update on ARPA for this evening's study session. So working on the fiscal year 2022 budget, Cammie Hayes was also working the mechanics of establishing our systems for the receipt of our first tranche of Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Fund, SLFRF, and I'm not sure if they call that SLURF. The military has lots of cool acronyms, so that's what I'll call it. That's direct subordinate to the American Rescue Plan Act, and that's the money that we draw from. So in the interim here, the city assigned Title VI assurances, the NEU award terms and conditions, as well as our NEU attestation. So NEU is non-entitlement unit, of which the city of North Augusta falls into. So as an update to the reporting requirements, we last reported, we had a report due to the federal government in the fall of this year. That has since changed. And so now that our first report will be due April 30th of 2022 for our first project and expenditure report, and then annually thereafter. So there's no requirement to have spent any money by April 30th, but there is a requirement for us to report to the federal government our current status, and then we'll do that annually thereafter. The city of North Augusta is not required to submit an interim report nor a recovery plan performance report. So we'll see, a large city like Columbia or Charleston, they have multiple reporting requirements, but the city of North Augusta only has one requirement, and that's the annual requirement that will start in April. Earlier this month, the city received $5,935,544.61 into our Arpa bank account. No money will be transferred from that account without council direction. So for the citizens at home, that money has now gone into you call it a savings account or a checking account, and the city staff is not authorized to withdraw funds from that account without direct council permission, meaning that we'll at some point in time provide you some recommendations on how we think that money ought to be obligated. You'll make a decision on that, and then that will drive the next set of timelines for how the money will go. That money will not be obligated without city council input, i.e. the elected officials here in the city. We'll also not receive our second distribution for at least 12 months from the first distribution. So we got our first distribution here in early November. So our next distribution will come no earlier than November of 2022. It could come later, but certainly no earlier based on the way that the law is written in the distribution. So as a reminder, we have to have those dollars earmarked or obligated by December of 2024, and they have to be fully spent, and the projects have to be completed by December of 2026. So we do have some time, but we are going to be looking at this coming year of getting a more comprehensive plan together to be able to provide here to the City Council. So now that the fiscal year 2022 budget has been adopted, the staff will conduct more of a detailed assessment of the city needs. I would tell you that infrastructure projects for water, stormwater, and wastewater will be considered, as well as tourism-related projects and downtown amenities. The big question mark that I have right now is to see what is the state going to do with their ARPA money relative to infrastructure matches. There is some discussion now about the state matching some of their ARPA funds against infrastructure projects in municipalities and cities. And if that occurs, that may change some of the calculus on the ratios of how we're going to look at our projects, meaning we could get more infrastructure projects completed if the state chooses to match those funds. And that's still yet to be determined, and likely will not be determined until the legislature goes back into session. So subject to any of your questions, that's all the information I have to provide this evening relative to ARPA, and I'll stand by for any of your questions or inputs.
Jim, just a quick question. Since it says infrastructure, the issue we have with the sewer line, James was just explaining, would this be a proper fund for that?
So without putting my legal hat on, because that's Kelly, infrastructure spending in general that's laid out in the interim final rule, which covers water, wastewater, stormwater, and broadband, are very easy to defend from a federal audit perspective. And so to answer your question, yes, I believe a wastewater interceptor line would certainly fall within public health item and is covered under this particular law. So that would be a potential candidate for funding, as are a number of James's projects.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else on council? Mr. Clifford, anything else?
Just one reminder, Rachel Moody and I will be out of town next Monday for the retail coaching session for retail recruitment. And so the city council meeting will be run, at least by the staff here, by Ms. Cammie Hayes. So she'll be running and sitting here in my chair next Monday.
Okay. Hearing nothing else, we stand adjourned.